The idea is often the core of a marketing campaign, but how do you actually come up with good marketing ideas? There's a common misconception that you're either an idea person or you're not. We all grew up watching Mad Men where ideas were just plucked from thin air. But actually, the best ideas are built from clear systems. And I'm going to show you how to create a system that generates award-winning ideas. I'm Gina. I'm a marketing director from South London. I've worked in startups and scale-ups for the last 15 years, taking concepts to big brands. I know that great marketing doesn't mean money, time, or resources. It means doing the foundations and the basics excellently. I'm here to show you how to get big results with very little effort. So follow along and check out all of my free tools. This video is going to break down how you actually ideate within marketing, whether that is for campaigns, content, or products. So I joined my last company when it was lockdown. I actually joined 2 days before we went into a national lockdown. And ideation and inspiration is difficult when you're all behind a computer screen instead of in a room together. So I really stepped back and looked at how we did this. Because as a global brand by nature, ideating online wasn't going away. The world changed after COVID and we had an even more distributed workforce. That's the same across millions of companies. So this video is going to show you how you ideate digitally and make sure everyone is involved and the best idea wins. So ideating online is difficult. But like anything creative, you actually need a sense of process and system in order to build guardrails for people to have those big, fresh ideas. So I spent a lot of time researching different ways to ideate, different processes. I A/B tested a ton of stuff on my team, and then I created this formula that went on to win us gold at the Digiday Ad Awards. This video is going to break down step by step the tools that I used, that are all free, to generate million-dollar ideas. I'm also going to give you a little ideation hack that make your ideas better than ever before. This formula is guaranteed to make your ideas better for your company, for your brand. So strap in, let's go through the 12 things to do to make sure you ideate properly. So step 1, receive your brief. Your brief comes in and you are going to do a viability check. Do you have all the information? Do you have everything you need? Are the objectives clear? Do we know clearly what this brief is trying to do? So viability check, you receive brief. Then you want to review that brief. And it's different from viability check. That brief is now ready to be executed on. So now you need to review that with your top line stakeholders. And your stakeholders might be your social team, your videographer, your editor, your marketing campaign lead. Get your top line stakeholders, people who this will affect, and make sure that everyone understands the brief. It's gone from viability to understanding. Does everybody understand this objective and what the ask is? Next, you want to assess your resource. So people often jump into the ideation thing thinking about their great ideas, but before that, you need to know your guardrails. So pre-ideation, you want to assess your resource. Who is going to work on this? What are their skill sets? What's their availability? How long do we have? Within assessing your resource, a huge thing that people also miss is understanding the difference between execution and ideation. Sometimes the people that will have the best ideas may not be the executors. So when you're thinking about your resources, make sure you're not just looking inwardly and doing the same thing with the same people. Now, the next step is to create a communication channel. We use Slack. A lot of people use Slack. It's very, very useful, but you want to create a Slack channel. And in this Slack channel, you want to include everybody that is going to be in that ideation or everybody that's going to be in the execution. Good practice is that the people that are going to be executing are included in the ideation, even if they're going to sit camera off and not input. Having that understanding, that knowledge of how the idea came about is good, but you might have too big of a team and you might not want to do that. But create a Slack channel or communications channel. Within this channel, you want to share all of the comms so far. So add in your brief and pin it to the channel. I use Notion. Everyone should use Notion. It's free. If you haven't got Notion, I've got a link in my comments to go and sign up for it. The brief will live on Notion. That brief has got all the information in it. It's been viability checked. We've looked at the alignment across stakeholders and we know our resource. So pin that to the channel so everyone is looking at one source of truth. Now, the next step is incredibly important. You need to put in everybody's calendars a research block. Especially in the digital world and the online world, we forget that we have to manage our time properly. And the best way to be a manager or a leader of a project is to help people manage their time. If people know there's an ideation coming up, they may not take it upon themselves to spend the time out of their day to do the research or to look for inspiration. Things come up every day as well. So putting in a research block as a calendar invite means that people will be notified and reminded and actually use that time to prep. Because coming to an ideation without doing any prep is honestly pointless. We also use Miro because Miro is an excellent free tool, but sometimes it gets a bit confusing having two. So I would suggest when you're starting out, just have one Notion page linked to that same brief. Once you've put this calendar hold in everyone's diaries, at least 24 hours after the research block, put in the ideation session. You want to give people time to gestate, to think, to go back to their notes. So make it at least 24 hours after. Don't make it too long after that people have forgotten, but don't make it so close that people feel rushed. Pre this ideation session within your Slack channel, you are going to send around the card, the page that's got the top line ideas on it. This is a nudge for everyone to check through them. So before the ideation session, you have this step of pre-ideation prep, where you are in that comms channel. Again, I use Slack, where you are sending around the page that everyone's written their notes and pin it to the channel, and you are reminding people. You are prepping for what's expected at the ideation session. And then you get to the ideation session itself. Now, we have nominated ideation session runners because it's actually more difficult than you can imagine. But top line, all that needs to happen in this session is the objectives are spoken through at the beginning. The meeting is led with the objectives. From this, you can run several ideation types. I will drop them in the comments and I will also give you a quick rundown at the end of this video. So you run these ideation types, you go through the top line ideas, and you spend time talking through them. In this meeting, there will be some people who say a lot and some people who say nothing. That is absolutely fine. It is not your job to force people to speak. It is your job to create this session with the prep time beforehand and the tools ready for people to voice their opinions and their ideas in any way they feel comfortable. Now, this ideation session is obviously a way to talk through the clear objectives and have an open discussion and embellishment of ideas. Once that is finished, we have the idea gestation period. This is where post-meeting, you are sharing that Notion page again into that comms channel, and you are giving people time to think. There's often a need to rush things. The best ideas come from sitting on them and stewing. So you're giving people this gestation period to think about what happened in the meeting, to go through those top line ideas, and you're giving them space to add more context and add more ideas. The next step is the idea sense check. So this idea sense check is done by the project owner, the person accountable for that objective. All these ideas are shared with that person who's owning the objective, and they go through and see if there's a clear winner. If there is not a clear winner, you have what we call a quick sync. Now, the quick sync is where you have the lead stakeholders from all the executors, so content, social, creative, and they unbiasedly rank each idea. So this quick sync is often just sent round in the comms channel. All the ideas laid out into a table. Each person anonymously ranks them, and then the clear winner is unbiasedly decided. The next step is then to decide that route. So either the stakeholder will have picked the clear winner, or unbiasedly there will be a clear leader based on the ratings. So this route is decided. The final decision is in stone. Where a lot of creative teams, a lot of marketing teams fall down is that they make a decision on a route and then stakeholders get involved, people have ideas. Have we thought about this? Have we thought about that? Make a decision and go with it. There are 1,000 ideas you can have. There are thousands of ways to launch something. There is no way to tell which is best. The best idea is the one that you choose and agree on and do not change. So once that route has been decided, you then gather your project group, and your project group will be your executors. So you may have a comms channel with all your ideators, you might have a comms channel with other people in there, but your project group is the people executing. You keep your comms channel open because those are all your stakeholders, but your project group are your editors, your graphic designers, your CPs, everyone that is actually going to run the project, and then you run your kickoff meeting. Now, I did say I would talk through some of the ways to run that ideation session, and if you want, I will do a longer breakout version of this. Let me know in the comments. But my favorite way to ideate is essentially the 9-square version. I found this when I was doing a leadership day with, randomly, Arsenal and Adidas. The 9-square way to ideate is quite simply you have 9 squares. So if you're doing this in real life, take a piece of paper, fold it so you've got 3 boxes across the top, 3 boxes in the middle, and 3 boxes underneath. If you're doing it digitally, do this on Notion. I can share a version of this. The 9-square method is simply building on ideas. So this is great when you do it digitally because it means that you don't have to talk over each other. With the 9-square method, everybody is going to fill in the top 3 squares. Leading with the objective in the meeting and understanding what the objective is, everyone takes the time individually to come up with ideas or concepts across the top 3 squares. You then share this with the next person. So if you're in real life, you pass it along. If you're digital, assign it to other people. The next person is going to do the 3 squares underneath, and they're going to enhance it. And to enhance it, we look at the SCAMPER method. So you're taking that original idea and you're putting your own spin on it and trying to improve it. And with SCAMPER, SCAMPER stands for substitute. What can I substitute to make an improvement? Combine. What ideas, features, processes, or components can I combine together? Adapt. What can I change? Modify. What can I make large, make smaller? Put to another use. What else can it be used for? Eliminate. What would happen if I removed something of this? Or reverse or rearrange. How can I move this around? Now, you don't have to use the SCAMPER method. It's just a good guideline for people who aren't really sure how to change someone's idea. But the essence of the 9 square method is that you have those top line ideas, that everyone gets a chance independently to have their top line ideas. And then each level down, you're embellishing, you're making it better. So you have your top 3, you pass it along, you do the next 3, you pass it along, you do the next 3. And from this, you will gather more and more and more ideas. Once everyone has got their sheet or the Notion paper with 9 ideas, people pick their standout ideas. They pick the ones that are the best on their sheet. You talk about that collectively and you start building the best into the best, and that's where the stakeholder picks the winning idea. The 9-box method also means that whoever is unbiasedly ranking them has access to all of them to bring them down. And they're clearly put into squares. If you're doing it on Notion, it's easy because you can copy those squares across and put your ranking next to it. But the 9-box method is genius because it means that loud people, quiet people, individual people, all people get a chance to create their own ideas and input into others. It makes it collaborative. I hope you found that useful. Hope you found that helpful. If you want the longer form videos on creating a brief or doing more around ideation, drop me a comment, do like, subscribe, and I'll speak to you next week.